On Second Shot, we tackle 2 new headlines every week to find out what kind of wisdom the world is dishing out today. And we want you to be a part of that. When you see a headline you want to take a second shot at, or if you're looking for advice, or just want to tell us what you think of the show, email us at secondshotcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, rate us on iTunes. This helps us move up in the ratings so more people will see us. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the show so that the new episodes will get straight to you every single Friday. We love you. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
Heath Oaks is a millennial mogul whose ignorance on fire led him to fail his way to success. Jenny Anchondo is an Emmy award-winning journalist whose sharp eye and biting wit have led to her storied career in television. Together, they tackle today's headlines in a way only an odd couple with a dash of perfect opposite can. So kick back, relax, and join the conversation. This is Second Shot with your hosts, Heath and Jenny.
So we're still going strong with our colds here. Zach and Matt and Jenny in the house, and Zach and Matt will really probably hate Jenny and I. We're still strong with our colds and sniffling.
I know.
We're doing it the best we can.
Yeah. But you me tell you why this is the best time of the year?
Why?
Football season. Ooh. Boom. We're like in the middle of the heat of all good college football. You know, NFL's getting kicked off. Like, this is just...
Like, your life is back.
It's time.
Yeah,
except for you have a 2-year-old and you don't get to watch near as much football.
Well, it's kind of after she goes to bed.
Yeah, but I'm on Saturdays during the day.
When you want to watch it all day long.
Yeah,
okay.
Which I don't get to do anymore.
Yeah, I was trying to ask Keith. I was like, okay, so for sure, like, there's football Saturday, there's football Sunday, there's Monday night football. I know there's Thursday football. So like, if I want to see you, Tuesday's my day. Is that right?
Bingo.
Right, because Friday's off.
Mm-hmm.
Is Wednesday?
Friday's good. Because typically it's not Friday.
Friday
College?
works for me.
That's just high school.
Okay, high school. Oh. High school.
Right.
Yeah.
You're in Texas.
I forgot.
That's important.
I guess.
How dare I forget?
Football, right? Yeah. Hey.
Tuesday's our day. Tuesday and Friday will be our days to hang.
Do you have like a group of guys you get together with and talk? I mean, I guess your fantasy league, right? Whoever that is, you guys talk shop.
Yeah, we all rag on each other and you know, take shots at each other. You know, we were the last episode we talked about how Jenny was doing my fantasy draft for me, and on the chat board she was like, "Oh, this is funny," because somebody on the chat board, what did it say? Said, "Heath, no matter how bad you want to draft Brett Favre, you can't do it."
But who
Anybody
did you
knows
get?
He's been retired a lot. I did get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he was pretty happy about it.
Yeah, I got him like in the 5th round too. I was really happy about it. Well, Jenny got it for me.
He's still on a high.
Yeah, still riding it high, and I'm gonna hold it for a long time.
Yes.
I don't care what anybody says. And
yes, you will.
And I realized I have to get Brighton some of her new Longhorn and Green Bay gear ordered because she grew out of the stuff from last year, because she's got to wear her Longhorn stuff every single Saturday. And at church on Sundays, more than likely you have to wear her Green Bay stuff.
Right.
That's awkward.
Makes sense.
It's not awkward at all.
Sporting the NFL merch it's on Sundays.
It only makes sense.
Like all good girls at church,
Exactly.
wearing her Green Bay Packer uniform.
Yeah.
Like all good 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
She'll fit in great. So our first headline.
Yeah, we're tackling a really tough one today.
This one's a tough one.
We just went back and forth about whether we wanted to address it, but I also think that's sort of the point of the show, is to get in and discuss. We want to hear your perspectives on this one as well, because this really is a tough one, and it's from a while back, but people are very much still talking about it online.
And the interesting thing about this, just to let everybody know, this is going to be a little bit different of a show than most, because we're going to kind of take this headline and we're going to roll it into a 2-segment thing that's got a kind of a different headline, but it's going to be related to the first one. So the whole episode will kind of be related to the same thing. We kind of felt like it had a lot that we could take in and really hopefully give back to in some way.
So the headline, TV news anchor tearfully apologizes after saying black coworker, quote, looks like a gorilla. I know it was wrong. On Friday, Alex Houston, a news anchor at KOCO TV in Oklahoma City, apologized to coworker Jason Hackett for her comment during a Thursday segment about the Oklahoma City Zoo regarding a new gorilla they'd just gotten at the zoo. The 18-second clip was shared on Facebook, infuriating viewers. However, the next day, they sat down on air to have a heartfelt apology, which is what this article is regarding. Should I read a little bit more, play the clip?
Well, read what actually was said, and then we play the clip of the apology.
Read the original, what was said?
Yeah, what was originally said.
Okay, yes. While introducing a gorilla named Finn, Houston said, "This week, the ape's caretaker took over their Instagram when we are all loving that they did. Now, as you can see, Finn was fascinated by the camera. Hackett said, definitely ready for his close-up. And Houston said, kind of looks like you, followed by nervous laughter from Hackett. He kind of does, actually. Yeah, Hackett responded. So, I don't know if I got the tone correct on that, but seemingly relatively something in text.
And if you're listening, we'll play the clip right now, or you can watch it on the Facebook or YouTube video real quick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she got healed on
she has been, she's been raked over the coals. So the big headline of this story is that she did keep her job. A lot of people were calling for her to be fired. A lot of people upset about the fact that he had to sit there and listen. Like, first of all, that he had to sit there and hear that comment on the air. Mm-hmm. And then, and then he kind of, brushed it off, and then that he had to sit through the apology
on television.
Yeah. And I say had to. We don't know what was happening behind the scenes. Whether he was like, "Yes, you are my good friend, and I will, and I understand that you are apologetic." But people online are really upset about the fact that he had to sit there and then hear the apology, and so it had us thinking more about, when it comes to a second shot, whether this TV station was right or wrong for not letting her go. It made me think about the instances where we think we're understanding other people's experiences, and we think we're respectful about their whole life history, and then in times like this, realizing that maybe we're not.
Yeah, I mean,
because if she had really felt him and thought about this kind of stuff, would that have even come up as a part of something she would say?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or would something have gone off in her that that's obviously not an appropriate comparison in my mind, much less speaking out loud on a live television program.
Yeah.
That was it's kind of hard to believe she would say that. That would come out of your mouth. Honestly, but like what you're talking about, what is, there's psychological, there's sometimes that we need to learn certain things. So there's a lot of psychology tests around unconscious or implicit biases that they've done that basically kind of, it's stating around our learned stereotypes that are automatic, unintentional, deeply ingrained, universal, and able to influence behavior. Unconscious bias training programs they have nowadays to try to help people understand it. And so basically it's those things that we don't really realize that we have, but we just do. And they've done tons of tests. And I've read lots of books on it all, too, because learning about the psychology of how we think and how others do will help you, whether it's building your business, whether that's selling to people, whether that's communicating, right, to others. And so I think if you're in any of those fields, you need to learn a lot about unconscious bias. You need to become very super hyper aware of that and realize that no matter how much you think you're, not sexist, or you are, or you're racist, or you're not, or you're understanding, or you're not, if you really truly read and study the learning on unconscious biases and stuff that we have, you'll realize that you really aren't as good as you think you are. And when you learn that and you're aware of that, then you can have a more self-awareness when you're in situations that catching yourself that you may be going down a path that you don't mean to, but you are.
Be open to the possibility.
That is true.
Be open to the possibility. And of course, as, people think of themselves as maybe being progressive and, friends with a lot of different types of people from different backgrounds and oh yeah, I know their story. But do we ever really know their story? you can't possibly, but most certainly the idea should be that we try and be open to the possibility that, like, I don't know where Zach came from. I know him. I sit next to him on the podcast, consider him a friend, but be open to the possibility that there might be something that's a sensitivity for him that I don't relate to at all. And that there's a possibility I might need to watch the way I think, say, react toward him because of that.
Yeah. Right. And to not embrace that as like a matter of self-preservation, but to think about how what you say might hurt somebody else. You never know. You never know how somebody can take something you say and twist it. And it's easy to get caught up in that on social media or text to see what somebody writes or types and think, well, I'm perceiving this way, but maybe they didn't mean it that way. Like vocally, it's much more challenging, but that's why it's so much more cutting, because it feels so much more personal, especially coming from somebody you've known for a little while. It's easy to fall into this feeling of like comfortability. They're like, hey, we know each other and we're cool and like things are fine. But like you just never quite know how something you say might be perceived by somebody else and maybe hundreds of people watching.
Yeah, in this one, it's a super obvious one. But others might be more subtle.
Sure.
It's kind of going back to the story a couple episodes back whenever the waiter or waitress that put old people on the deal when we were talking about it. I mean, that was a fact. They were an elderly couple and he put old people, like that wasn't like a that was a
like
fact.
Calling a 30-year-old old.
Yeah, exactly. That was different.
Like a mean dig. It was just like an actual
fact. And so those are the difference kind of between that versus like this one is a very clear one. I understand. I'm with everybody that there's a lot of people that are just very sensitive about stuff. I don't really think this was just a sensitive one. I think this was a very clear, like, you just don't make a reference to him as looking like the gorilla. That's just really, that's not okay. I don't care who you are.
I don't think anybody's going to question that.
But naming that somebody's old is fine. And I think when you have those implicit, when you understand more about implicit biases, that you have them, they're real no matter how much you think you do or don't.
Biases,
and then you take that awareness that others will have that about yourself, so that you can use stereotypes or you can use those things to your advantage when you're selling or building a brand. Which means if you take some of those things and you have those awarenesses, you can just own it. Like coming out and being like, when I was young, so I'm like, I know I'm really old. I would own the fact that I was young and get that kind of elephant out of the room. So if you have a more self-awareness around your stereotypes about whoever you are, what you do or do not have, then it kind of takes the guard down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying. And it was interesting that you mentioned too, Zach, about self-preservation, because she's really getting, destroyed online because people are saying, you're only sorry because you were about to lose your job. Now,
we don't know that.
We don't know that. And I, if you watch the whole thing, it does seem she understands the magnitude of what happened. It does, but we don't know her heart. We're not inside of her heart. We
shouldn't judge that.
Their relationship. And it was also, in a TV type situation, which adds a different element. But I do think that was interesting, Zach, the point to bring up. Don't just do it for self-preservation.
Yeah. Don't do it just for you. I mean, you can, but that's the wrong reason. You know what I mean? You should do it for other people.
But and what we wanted to do really with this story was kind of hitting on some of that, because the second part, we also have a story around some main key ways to apologize and actually get the most out of it. And we figured it was perfect to kind of go in with this exact story. So we'll be back in the second segment of Second Shot in just a minute.
He makes up words, she translates them. Heath and Jenny host more of Second Shot, coming up on RNCN.
Okay, we wanted to take a quick minute to tell you guys about a company called Energy Ogre. So Heath and I have been using this company for years to save money on our electricity. We've told you guys about it for months and months and months too. So basically what they do is they shop around your electricity and then they find the lowest option and then they manage it. So you know how if you notice your rates are going up, you might call around, but who really does that? So they do that for you. The deal is that it costs $10 a month, and if they can't save you anything, then you get the $10 back. So for us, what we noticed is it cut our bill at least in half. So we're talking, we were upwards of $200, maybe a little more than $200 a month. Now we're down to $100. Yes, even in the blazing summers here in the Dallas area of Texas. So it's energyogre.com. So here's Ogre. It's EnergyOgre. So EnergyOgre.com. And they actually give us a deal for Second Shot listeners. So if you would like to use it, the discount code is Second Shot. So you can try it for free and see how it works. Again, it's really not a risk because if you get on there and they can't save you any money, then they don't charge you anything and you'll get to try it out for free with the code Second Shot.
Ready? Aim. Fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
This next segment, if you are a lady listening and your husband or boyfriend's not listening, get them on. Men, turn your ears up, because this is what men just all need a lot more dose of, including myself. I'm going to put myself in this, okay? I have a feeling that overall, I'm going to stereotype us men, that this is not the strongest part for us.
I mean,
apology, the art of the apology.
Yeah, not me. I'm great at this. I apologize all the time. Yes.
He walks in the room. I'm sorry.
It's true.
Sorry for existing.
Sorry for being here. Yeah.
Well, that's just what men should do just from the get-go. Just walk in and see your wife. Just be like, I'm sorry because I know I'm going to do something.
Okay.
I know I did something.
Yeah.
I don't like this because it makes women seem like we're always just like looking for something wrong.
No, it's because we're trying so hard to meet your incredible.
I was trying to clear my throat.
Yeah.
I'm stuffy.
I decline your apology.
That's what's going on. He thought I'd tell you how to do it.
That's
right.
how you don't do it.
Yeah, that's how you don't do it, is make it seem like your wife's a horrible person to be around.
All right, so this is a list headline: 6 tips to apologize properly. As much as we might not like to admit it, we all make mistakes. When that happens, we need to show accountability by making an apology, of course. So these are 6 quick tips to get through it. I'm going to rattle them all off one by one here, and then we're going to go break them down, so don't worry. You don't have to write them down really fast or anything. Here they are. Number 1, be timely. Do it in person. Empathize. Don't focus on making excuses or providing explanations. Find out how you can make the situation right, and then make a commitment. I like all of those points. So let's start with the first one. Be timely, all right, when you're apologizing. Do it quickly.
Because it gets uncomfortable the longer you wait.
Yeah.
Sure.
It gets awkward, and then more things come up that you have to apologize for. So they're saying, and oh, by the way, this article... came from Heath's employer, which I follow on Twitter, and I saw this on Twitter and thought, oh, what a great, I think that the art of an apology truly is an art, and I think it can make or break a person in terms of their relationship.
Sure.
Being able to have a genuine apology. So I clicked on it thinking, oh, I want to get the knowledge for myself, and I thought this would be a good second shot, and then I was like, oh my gosh, it's from Colonial Life. So anyway, full disclosure, Heath didn't find it, I did.
Yeah.
And it is from his job, but I'm glad that they put out good content like this that we can share with you guys.
Now, here's the tricky thing with timely. You got to know you and how it is, and it doesn't need to be quickly. It doesn't need to take forever. But you know what? There's people like me. Like when I start, if I'm in something where it is, sometimes I need a little bit of time to calm down and to be kind of get into a rational state of mind, and then to apologize. Now, that it doesn't need to take days and weeks and stuff, right? I mean, but I'm just saying you don't have to be like right in the middle of it and be like, okay, then I'm sorry, because then it doesn't mean you got to wait till you get to a point to where it actually is something that you truly believe.
I feel like
where
timely
you're actually sorry.
Yeah, it's probably different for every person. It probably more means as soon as you know you need to apologize, you probably ought
don't
to
procrastinate
apologize.
it past that point. So
Yeah.
when you know
Right.
you need to, don't keep procrastinating.
Yeah.
Because it can be so uncomfortable, so people just put it off.
Yeah. Somebody told me recently regarding professional conversations. I struggle a lot with like hard conversations in professional environments where you're trying to negotiate or work out something that's very challenging. And somebody told me hard conversations don't get any easier the longer you wait.
Absolutely.
They just don't. In fact, they probably get harder.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things when it comes to apologizing, it's always going to be tough. Just do it.
But when you don't address issues, all it does is make it 10 times worse.
Right.
It makes other things come around it and get to where it is, to where it has a massive blow up, and you're trying to handle a really big deal because you didn't handle the little issues.
Sure. Unfortunately, apologies are a very human thing. Everybody's had to do it. Everybody has to do it. So whoever you're apologizing to, they've been in your seat. They've had to apologize for something, and they felt horrible about it at the time. So you can understand that they probably like sympathize in a way,
Yeah.
So that's probably good. Number 2, do it in person. Do it in person.
Everybody wants to get out with an apology text.
Everyone wants a text.
Do not do it. That does not work.
How about a charming phone call?
if
you like are out of state,
Right.
Yes.
If you're out of state.
Sure. If the
other
person
side
you're
of Texas.
apologizing to is in Canada, go
Right.
ahead with the personable,
Sure.
charming phone call.
The charming email. How about that?
Yeah, if it's your spouse and you're going to be around wherever or not, no, wait and do it in person, right? But if it's actually somebody who doesn't live there close enough with it, a phone call's fine. No text, no email. Would you agree?
Yeah. I think that
If you truly mean it, you got to be able to at least have the
Yeah.
conversation.
there are certain instances where I like to be able to get my whole thought out, in which case I think that a written word, I did one of these for Heath not too long ago where I wrote it out in an email because I wanted to make sure that I said it correctly and that it was well thought out. So to me, I wanted it to just like be these couple sentences. But I think in an apology, you have to feel the sentiment of it, and that's why the importance is on in person.
Sure. Now, when it comes to being in person, there's definitely things I struggle with. I'm terrible about eye contact when hard conversations.
You just looked at the
especially
ground.
apologies.
You just looked at the ground when you did that.
I can't do like it's so
Look at us.
hard because you got to look at somebody's soul, right? Like connect, and that's horrible for me. But yeah, like it's something I almost wish sometimes I could be that person who would just text or email, but I can't. I'm just not wired that way. I'm like, nope, do it in person. It's hard. It's not going to get any easier, but it means more if you do it in
Absolutely.
person.
Yeah, it does.
And what are you doing it for if not to mean something? Number 3, empathize. Think about it. Sympathize. There's no point in apologizing if it's not grounded in empathy. I get that, right?
Well, and that truly
Yeah.
means just the difference of not being like, hey, hon, I'm sorry. It's like, I'm sorry. I know that what I said hurt your feelings because of these things,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. That means more. You can't just say, hey, I'm sorry. You need to show that why you're actually sorry to actually show that it's real. Like with her, when in that apology on the last segment, she said, I know I hurt people.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't that. That was her, empathizing with
Yeah.
them.
Well, and
that
this-
one's. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, this brings me back to the other side of that story that I think bothers me are the people that watched her apology and said, oh, it's not genuine. It's only for her own benefit. She should be fired, this or that. He shouldn't have to listen to this. I think unless she's just a very good actress, which I guess could be the case, but I think it was very clear that she empathized with what she made him feel and what she made other people feel. And that apology was coming from a real place. And I think someone from the outside can't then say, you shouldn't have to accept that apology. You shouldn't have to listen to that. That's up to him to make that choice about whether or not that's good enough. But you can tell that it's coming from a real place, and it's not on me, and it's not on any watcher or any viewer or whatever to say, no, that's not good enough, or that's not right. Like you can feel when somebody's being genuine, right?
And I felt like she was.
Yeah, only she knows, and only the two of them know, because he knows, he knows he knows a whole history. She said they've been close friends, or I think maybe even best friends for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So only the two of them know, and it is, and she can't possibly know exactly what it feels like because she lives a different life than him, but she did certainly seem like she was doing her best to empathize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, empathy can run into number 4 here. Don't focus on making excuses or providing explanations. I really struggle with this.
You know what this is? Hon, I'm really sorry for all that. But, anytime the but starts to come out of your mouth, shut up, man. Shut up, man.
Eliminate it.
Man, look at me right now on this camera. If the word but is starting to come out, just shut up. You're going to hurt yourself. Stop. Do not go but.
Yeah.
There's no buts.
This one's tough for me because when I'm explaining... When I say why I'm sorry,
You're
right?
trying to.
Like, I want to... Yeah, thank you. All right. Thank you.
Trying to make an excuse.
Cough drop. Please.
Trying to make an excuse
somebody
right
get Jenny
now.
some water. I think, I struggle with this because I want to explain why I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to know, look, here's where I'm coming from. Here's why I did
Well, you don't
this,
want
but that's not
people
what
to
it
say,
is.
"Oh, you're a bad person." It's like, no,
Right.
I just made a mistake, and here's why, and here's
Right,
Yeah,
and
but
that's tough for me.
But there's another time and place for that. You do that later.
Exactly.
You do the apology and do your apology, and then a little bit of time goes by, then you bring up, some of that. You don't do that at that point because that's giving excuses.
Because that's not really an apology.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's more of a defensive.
Yeah.
It's very
You wait a couple days or whatever, then you go, hey, I just want to have the conversation with. why sometimes things can trigger me to act that way is da-da-da. But that's after the apology settled in. Do not say the but word
Yeah.
at any point in an apology.
Find out how you can make the situation right. Now, I do like this one. Because that makes me feel better because I feel guilty. So that's important. But that's
So
the
that
wrong
will
reason.
really-
Again, wrong
it's
reason.
all
but
about Zach.
Exactly. Yeah. No, find out what
just
you can
kidding.
do to make it better. How can I right this wrong? Like, how do I make you feel better about this? Like, how do I make this okay? How do I try to smooth this out?
Now, what is the next one after that?
Make a commitment.
Okay, see, in my opinion,
Yeah.
with this, those two are like hand in hand. I
Yeah.
don't think you ask, this is what I can do. Like, or you don't say, what can I do? You need to have that commitment, like it says to make a commitment.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have at least a shot in the dark at how you can make it better for the future, right? And if you're wrong with how you can make it better and they correct you and say, well, I would really prefer you do this, that's fine. But to just come in lazy, being like, well, whatever I can do, maybe try to come with a commitment of some kind of saying whatever you think it may help.
I totally disagree, though. That I think you should ask, please let me know. Let me open myself up to the idea that there's something different about this that hurt you. Because
Okay,
that's
so I guess
because
that's why
you coming
also
with
making a commitment can help up with that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because you coming with the solution infers that you know exactly what it was that hurt them. Because you might be coming in saying, I know I hurt you, I understand this part, but is there something else? Is there something more so that you can better understand, as opposed to just like not letting the person speak?
And I think this is where apologies become two-way streets, right? Because the person on the other end has to be willing to meet you halfway and say, okay, I hear that you've apologized. I can see that you're being empathetic. I can see that you came to me in a timely manner. You did steps 1 through 4. Now, at this point, I have to choose whether or not I'm going to work with you to make the situation better and say, I accept your apology and here's what we can do to move forward. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people. There's probably a whole other segment we could do about accepting apologies and dropping the grudges and everything that you're holding on to because someone didn't apologize quick enough or whatever, or you're still mad. But I think this is when you're presented this opportunity to say, how can I make it better? Try to give a good faith effort in answering that question. Right?
Yeah, and it's totally possible the answer is like nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do, right? But like you need to let them know you're prepared to do whatever they need you to try to make it
Well,
right.
and you can't control anything that they're going to feel about it, but you need to, for your own self, is be able to do it and do it in the real way that's a real apology, and getting it off your chest to where you can, try to start making amends personally, because you can't worry about whether they accept it or not. And because a lot of times that's what people will use as excuses for not apologizing.
Is what?
But by thinking that somebody's not going to accept it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they sit there and hold on to it. And it's like, no, you can't do that. You need to go do it. And if you feel it, you need to get it off your chest. And you cannot worry about the outcome of how they accept it or not. Because for your own good, get it off your chest and you can feel better. And if they don't want to accept it, then that's up to them. But you can't worry about that. You can't let that hold you back from apologizing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's good. Have you guys ever had like some major big apologies you've had to do that come to mind?
Maybe that has something to do with our third segment. When we do a
maybe
question of the
that'll be a
week
good
of some kind, right? Maybe
question.
That sounds awfully vulnerable.
Maybe
It
not.
does yeah.
We'll have something like that. Now, before we go on, Zach, go down the list. Let's give them the recap of the steps to apologize.
Yes, be timely, do it in person, empathize, don't focus on making excuses or providing explanations, find out how you can make the situation right, and make a commitment. Do the thing. Yeah.
Do the thing.
We'll be back in a minute on third segment of Second Shot.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Heath and Jenny still to come.
Quick break to tell you about one of my favorite books written by my podcast co-host and my husband. So the book is called Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. So this is a story of basically my husband's journey from being someone who barely graduated from high school, did not finish college, didn't have any real formal education in the business world, and how he went to become one of the top executives at his company. And it's just a fun, inspiring story. If you have somebody who is maybe getting ready to start a new school year or starting a new job or something like that, this is just a good inspirational read for them. A lot of my adult friends have enjoyed it too. And I just had to shout him out and tell you guys about the book. So you can get it on Amazon. You just search Ignorance on Fire. Or if you prefer the audio version, he will be reading it to you in his Texas accent. It is on audible.com. Again, just search Ignorance on Fire.
Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot on RNCN.
We always get in big hot controversies off the line, like, what do we do here? What are we going to say there? And we're all like, yeah.
Yeah. So we were originally going to
Exactly
ask you
how
guys
our
the
meetings
question.
are.
That's a really great reenactment.
We've got it together.
We were going to ask everybody what's, the biggest apology, but also I didn't know what the value add would be for that. If we asked you, what's the biggest thing you had to apologize
Yeah.
for? It sort of just like brings up old stuff from the past.
I feel like that gets painful really
But I
quickly.
think you
What's
need
the
to
most
shame people on
horrible-
reviewing.
Oh, it's my turn to shame
I
people.
want
on
you to
reviewing.
shame.
Your biggest apology to us ought to be not leaving a review,
Yes.
audience.
Well, because here's the thing.
Get 'em mad.
Our audience has been growing significantly, and we are incredibly thankful for that. Although we had a down week a couple weeks ago, but it's been growing. The group's been
Thank you.
getting bigger, and we're thankful for it because for a while, you do these things and you do them and you do them and you wonder,
Yeah.
are they liking it? Is this valuable? Are they enjoying it? Should we keep doing it? And so we're seeing that people are listening and enjoying, but you guys need to leave us a review. So there's a couple options. You can go on iTunes, you can go down, you can just do the 5 stars or 4 stars or however many you think it's worth, and then leave some comments and some feedback. We'll also take back and forth feedback like, oh, I wish you would do more of this, or whatever your ideas are. Those can also be put into the Second Shot group. And then the other thing you can do is do a screenshot and tag me on Instagram or Facebook, and I will reshare it. Instagram's it's easier to reshare and for you to get more people, and then 25,000 people will see your post, and maybe if you've got a business or something, then that will give you a little shout out online. So we would love to hear from you guys, hear what you're liking about the show. I also will draw your attention to the Second Shot super secret, not so secret Facebook group.
Super secret, not so secret. I like that.
And Roy Jeffords likes to post quotes in there. And this one is, don't bother just to be better than your contemporaries or predecessors. Try to be better than yourself.
Isn't that true?
A quote from William Faulkner. And the comparison to self is just more productive, right?
Yeah.
The comparison to other people it doesn't really get us anywhere.
If we compete to be the best us, then we're going to win every time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep your expectations low.
I'm just trying to be better than me.
Way to bring it down, Zach.
Yeah. I woke up this morning, I'm trying to be a bigger person than I was then. So hey, that's a win for me. Put that in the W column.
So our question of the week, since we didn't want to, sort of linger in all the things that we've all apologized for, we thought we would ask, what's the one thing people would never know just by looking at you?
Ooh.
What is it, Matt Stoker?
Oh gosh, putting me on the
What would we
hot
not
seat first.
Well, I think
know?
you should go first, Jenny. You
Oh, wow.
never go first on these
What?
questions, right?
Okay, I gotta think about this
Oh.
one.
Thank you, Heath,
Yeah,
for
you're
bailing me
right,
out on
because
that one.
yeah, good job on the bailout. I would say one thing people would probably not know just by looking at me is that I love snowboarding and that I taught snowboarding lessons growing up. And if I had my best wish, I would probably go snowboarding every weekend with the family. I don't know if that's really what we were going for on that, but I don't know if people would know that just by looking at me.
Mine's crazy because mine can be completely two different things, and it's almost the same thing. Depends on when they see me. So if they saw me, being you were going to movies, and I had my jeans on, my boots, and a T-shirt, they would never think that I was wearing really nice suits and working in that kind of office environment, right? Or if they saw me in my suits getting out of the G-Wagon or something, they would never think that I had a country background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's two different types of stereotypes people could have about me depending on if they see me casually or they see me in
Depending
work
on
attire.
when they meet you.
Yes.
A regular Cinderella story at the end of the table.
Well, I think it's just they would have two separate stereotypes that they wouldn't understand intertwine if they saw me on either one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Matt, you wanna? I can take it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm almost half deaf, which is a bummer. Yeah, like one of my ears just does not does not work awesome.
And nobody would think that because you're in radio and
nobody
you're
would
being in
think that.
podcasting and stuff. And like
I take it as I take it as a little personal accomplishment that people always told me growing up. They're like, "Well, you're not going to get in anything wearing audio or headphones or anything," and I'm just like, "Totally."
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Well,
love that.
Come at me.
That was a little ignorance on fire from
It all
you.
worked out.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe accidentally, maybe not intentionally, but hey, here I am. So yeah. And Stephen Colbert does it. I think he's half deaf. So yeah, and he hosts a show.
Yeah.
So look at him.
You play it off.
Yeah, nobody would know. Although I do have to sit on the right side of the table sometimes and like make sure I'm angled at people so I can hear them. But otherwise,
Oh,
works
but
out
that's
great.
okay because it gives a like a sense of community. as
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
leaning into
I
that.
think it makes it
Leaning
seem like
into
I'm,
him. Yeah, there you go.
It seems like I'm comfortable, like I'm like leaning into like I don't know. Matt, how
He
about
doesn't
you?
actually like us. He's just
No,
sitting in
right.
the
Just-
in your
Now
house.
we know
Here.
the
I
truth.
sit over here out of
We know the
necessity.
truth.
I guess for me, it might be my musical ability, I think.
Oh.
I was a state level French horn player back in high school. I still play a little bit, and I think that's something that most people don't expect when they ask, like, hey, what are you into? And it's like, well, I still play some music, and I really am into it. I wish I could do more, like we've talked about on the show before.
Right.
I wish there were other instruments I could play, but it is a big part of my life that I don't really do anything other than privately. So maybe I should do more of that. I don't know.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have to serenade us in and out of the shows from now
We're gonna
on.
have jam
I'll bring a
sesh.
horn. I'll bring a horn in, and then we'll
That'd be great.
I can tell you
play the
another
second
one.
shot
into
theme
that.
song.
Here's another one most people wouldn't know.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know that my wife was as hot as my wife is. They'd be like, mine would be blown that I married somebody that hot.
Big compliments coming out of Heath Oaks this
Yeah.
week.
Wow. Thanks, babe.
I love it.
I think.
Yeah.
I love
sweet.
it when the people that are trying to take up for me, when everybody's like, man, you married up, and everybody's trying to take up for me. Like, oh, I'm like, no, I get it. You ain't got to take up for me. It's okay.
Yeah.
I can own it. I'm good.
If anybody knows it, right, it's this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I'm good with it all. So take the time to share this episode with your friends. If you got a lot out of it, share it with your friends. And we've got some really exciting stuff coming up. And I think on probably the next episode or
We
two,
might be able to announce
we
it,
may
yeah.
be announcing it. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. And we're
Big
going to have
things
some
coming.
really exciting stuff with it. So get ready for it. Share it with your friends and family on Facebook, text messages, wherever it is. Leave us a rating and review, secondshotcast@gmail.com if you want to send us any private email or anything.
Yeah.
Or the Second Shot Facebook group if you want to just post anything that you see, you like, or you got anything that you're needing, professional help with. There's a lot of professionals in that group that can help you out with
Definitely.
it. So where can they find you?
JennyandShondo.com. Give a follow to the Second Shot podcast Instagram page. Charlie, our dog, still has more followers than it, and I've been keeping track. Also on Instagram for me, Instagram.com/JennyandShondo. Same thing on Facebook.
At AppleZacintosh on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook.com/group/second shot. It's secret, but like not super secret, guys. Come hang out, please. Leave a rating and review, and we're happy to have you. Thanks for listening.
You can find me, Matt Stoker1, on Instagram. All the dog pictures you can enjoy, as well as you'll find me in the Second Shot Facebook group, posting the new episode each week. And here's a challenge. Don't just like that post. Hold that button a little bit longer. Give me a love. Give a laugh on that post. Give me something other than a like. I'm tired of seeing all the likes.
Matt bringing it home. At Heath Oaks at Ignorance on Fire on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all those good places. I love y'all, and we'll see y'all next time.